Are you ready to talk about those patterns that have no notions whatsoever? So yeah, I gave you all the patterns that have elastic only, but let's talk about some patterns that has no notions. So I'm gonna give you about 85 patterns. Don't fall out on me, okay? Just don't fall out on me like this. Come together and be like, say what? 85 patterns? Yes, baby. I'm gonna give you 85 patterns of no notions whatsoever. If they have notions, I will show you how you can get around not having any notions. All right. So if that's some content you would like to see, please continue to watch.
Where's Da Vinci?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rochelle from Rochelle.Handmade.Designs, and in this video I am going to be giving you about 85 patterns that has no notions whatsoever. All right, are you ready for that? So if you are new to the channel, welcome. Hello, ciao, guten tag, aloha, hola, konnichiwa, wagwan, sambanani, salon, bonjour. If you're returning, you guys know what to do. Go get your quick snack, something to drink, come on back so we can go ahead and get into this video. So without further ado, just like any other video, go ahead and go over to the concession stand, which is AKA your kitchen. Get you something to drink and some snacks, and I'll catch you on the other side with the video. All right, so I'm going to give you 15 seconds to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to definitely put in chapters so you could jump to wherever you want to in this video. Also, I will also put in another concession stand so you can go ahead and refill, because this may be a long one. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So just like with any other of the other videos where I did part 1 and part 2 of just elastic, it is going to be a 5-day type event. It's going to cover 5 days all in this video. So we will be talking about the topics once again. You have your total body, which is your dress, your upper body, which are tops, lower body, which features your pants, your skirts, and your shorts. And then you also have your dirty 30, which features the jackets, the coats, and the jumpsuit. And then we're going to close out this video once again with what? Conditioning, because we go condition that body, which means the coordinate section, because we want everything to blend together. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it and talk about total body, which are the dresses. All right. So total body with the dresses, I'm going to put all of the patterns up on the screen like I normally do, so you don't have to ask if I'm going to put them up on the screen, because the answer is yes, I am. Okay, so before I get into the first pattern, let's talk about what I have on, which is Simplicity 9707. You guys, I did not forget about my planning my transitional wardrobe. We will get back into that for summer, because summer is not actually over in Orlando until about October, November time frame. So I will be finishing that up after I show you a collection coming together next week. All right. So then we'll be back to finishing up this collection for the summer. All right. So this is Simplicity 9707. I will put all the details for the video that I already did for this, which was the pattern review, on the end screen as well as in the description box below. Let's go ahead and get over to the first dress. So the first dress and the pattern is a New Look 6655. This is a easy to sew and knit dress. Yes, baby. And this one, it's like 4 pattern pieces, if I remember correctly, in order to do this dress. Now, you may ask, Rochelle, why in the heck haven't you done this pattern? We talked about it. I have a video that I have over 3,000 patterns. It's close to 4, if not over 4. 3 just sound like a good number to me, right? So that's why I haven't got to it. But I'm going to say this. I have made a list just like you guys are making a list. And so I'm hoping you have your pencil, your pen, and your notebook taking notes of these patterns, because I'm going to show you something here shortly, but I am taking notes of what patterns I want to sew first, second, third, like that, to kind of sew these patterns that I'm telling you guys as well. All right. So another thing I want to mention, and I'm going to show you this right now on, instead of writing down the patterns that you want to take over to Joann's, I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen so you could see how I save the patterns on Simplicity, pull it up in Joann's, and then get my patterns. That way you don't have to remember going to the store and then you forget that you left your list at home. I have done it plenty of times, so that's why I'm telling you guys that you can actually go to the Simplicity website, click on whichever brand you want. In this case, it's going to be, because you know it's on sale, Simplicity, right? So I'm gonna click on Simplicity, put whatever pattern that I want in my cart. I'm sorry, not my cart, my wish list. And then after putting it on my wish list, I will pull up the same website, simplicity.com, when I get to Joann's, and it will already be there. So this is how you could put everything on your wish list. And then when you go to the store, you already have it in your Joann's wish list. All right. Or Simplicity wish list for when you go to Joann's. All right. So thank me later. All right. So getting back into the pattern, New Look 6650. That is the first pattern for this pattern as well. Like, it is a super easy to dress. And you also have that crossover details in the front as well. So I am here for it. All right. So let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern, which is New Look 6632. So this is an easy knit dress as well. I love the fact that it has that cowl collar as well. Now, on the back of the pattern envelope, it does say that it has 12 pieces, but you're not going to need all 12 pieces in order to do this pattern. Just make sure you choose which one you want. But guess what? You do not need any notions for this pattern. It's knit. So what do you use? Knit in order to sew up this pattern. All right. Moving over to the next pattern. It's New Look 6618. All right. This is also another easy to sew knit dress. And if I have not said it already, all the patterns that I'm showing you are rated as easy or very easy. So this video is for my true beginners. And when I say true beginners, I'm talking about you fresh off the boat. No, listen, no disrespect whatsoever. When I say fresh off the boat, it's like, you know how when you went to high school, you was fresh meat, your first year in high school. Same thing. It's going to be your first year in sewing, or you've been sewing for a while. You left the sewing alone for a little while, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, and you're coming back. So you're starting fresh, kind of new. You're not equipped with like the zippers, the buttons, the snaps, all of that stuff. You want to get back into it, but you want to do patterns that are no notion before you start easing your way into the notions like elastic and zippers and buttons and snaps and all of that good stuff. Okay. So that's what I mean. Fresh off the boat, no disrespect for us whatsoever. All right. So moving on into the next one, it's New Look 6618. It's an easy to sew knit dress as well. Listen, I'm here for what the model have on, and that pattern is, that view is view B, which is the yellow dress. Now for me, I probably won't make it that long because I'm only 5'6", right? So I will probably make it to the knees. Also, I could see definitely throwing on some sleeves, you know, basically use a sleeve from a different New Look pattern, make it a slit sleeve or something like that. You can also do that, and you don't need any notions in order to make a slit sleeve. All right. You will need notions if you are making a puff sleeve or something like that, but you do not need any notions in order to make a slit sleeve. All right. Thank me later. You're welcome. All right. By the way, moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is New Look 6597. I know what you guys are going to say. Another knit dress. Yep, you're right. Because normally with knits, you cannot go wrong, and you pretty much don't need notions most of the time. All right. So this is another knit dress. This is like an easy pull on summer dress. Listen, I want to say this. If you are going to like the fresh market where you get fresh fruits, this dress is for you. I mean, it's a no fuss dress. Okay. It's like you have your sleeve. It's just front, back, sleeve. You may have to do like some binding on the neck, but like I told you, if you don't want to do that binding, you know what to do. Draft you a front and back facing and sew it on. All right. But this is New Look 6597. Let's go ahead and get over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Vogue 1952. This is one of the newer dress, which is a wrap dress. I'm here for what the model on view A have on. Okay. So I like this dress. it's a wrap. It will have a facing for this as well, and I'm here for it. But once again, this pattern right here is 1952. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Vogue 1907. And listen, I am here for the red dress, which is view B. Now, I would definitely make it the view of view B, which is what the shorter view is, simply because, to be honest with you, anything past my knees make me look like I'm wearing a nightgown. I'm not super tall. I mean, like, I'm average height, yes, at 5'6", but anything past my knees, it makes me look like I either have a choir robe on or a nightgown. I mean, nightgowns are great. Don't get me wrong, but they were great when I was preggo. They're not cute when you looking like, you know, you 25 and you ain't 25. You almost damn near 40, right? So, I mean, to be honest with you, it would be great if you're going for that look. But for me, I think view B would be where I'm comfortable at. But once again, it's Vogue 1907. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is a fun pattern. I think it would be a fun pattern. I do not have this pattern, but it's on my wish list. It's Vogue 1671. And I actually want to thank Miss Yvonne from Jamaica for recommending this pattern to me, because listen, you guys recommend some good patterns to me that I actually overlook. And I think for this pattern, I overlooked it simply because I thought I seen a zipper in the front, okay? And it's not a zipper in the front. It's just a color block, is what you see on view A. So I think that's why I overlooked it. But for me, I could definitely see myself doing a color block for this pattern as well. I think I would be more comfortable doing it all one color instead of the color block, but also do view B for this pattern. All right. So once again, this pattern is Vogue 1671. Let's go ahead and get over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Vogue 1691. All right. I can't remember who. I know one of my viewers mentioned this pattern to me as well. I overlooked it for sure. And I'm going to tell you why I overlooked it, because I have a pattern similar to this, which is McCall 6556. Mimi G did this pattern, and I feel like what I could do for that pattern is extend it, save me $5.99 for the Vogue sale, and just do that. But I want to give you this because this is a no notion pattern. Once again, it's Vogue 1691. Let's go ahead and get over to the next pattern. Next pattern is like a fun pattern. Once again, it's Vogue 1720. This is like your color block dress. I can see myself really getting into this pattern for sure. It's no notion. So what can I say? All right. But once again, this is Vogue 1720. Let's go ahead and get over to the next pattern. So the next pattern, you guys, this pattern has been done several times. I've seen this pattern at the South Florida Frock Tale. I believe it was Julie from the Curated Curvy who kind of hacked this pattern a little bit. I mean, I think she used either the sleeves or the dress or something like that from I can't remember completely what happened, but also Talisha from Creativity by T did this pattern. It's Vogue 1723. Now, you guys, there's no notions for this pattern. You would think that you would have to add a zipper or something to this pattern, right? No, it's no notions. I think that at the neck edge, button or something, but like I mentioned before, if you need to sew a button, you could always make some straps. But I was surprised that it's no notions for this pattern. Get into it, okay? Vogue 1723, and I also believe it was V from 85th and Wade who also sewed this pattern up as well. I will put their links in the description box below. Also, check the handles on Instagram for this pattern, Vogue 1723. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is like an easy flowy dress. It's Vogue 1734. And this pattern, I mean, it's no notion. It's basically kind of like your, I wouldn't say basic because it's not basic because you have like the high-low going on at the bottom, but it is like a standard wrap dress. So I can see that. I like this pattern actually for sure. But once again, it's Vogue 1734. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is one of the newer patterns that just came out, is Vogue 1777. I like this pattern, even though I have seen some videos and a lot of people say this is a grandmama pattern, but I guess, you know, like, I'm nobody's grandmama, but I could definitely see this pattern being rocked by so many sewists, okay? If you use the right fabric and you photograph very well, you could definitely make this pattern be like, dang, Gina, right? So I'm just saying, like, if you use the right fabric, you could definitely look better than what the model is looking on the pattern, because I'm just saying sometimes they don't do these models right with the garment. So that's why one thing I have said in many videos, stop looking at the front of the pattern. It's great to look at the front, but also make sure you look at those line arts, okay? The line arts basically give you an insight into if you want to purchase this pattern or not. Once again, it's Vogue 1777. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Vogue 1799. I actually have this pattern in my stash. I picked this pattern up sometime last year, I remember. It wasn't recommended to me, however, it was for an event that got canceled. That's what it was for. I was gonna sew it up because this was supposed to be like a vacation style dress, okay? I'm not gonna say where that vacation destination to. All you need to know is it got canceled, okay, with some friends or whatever. It got canceled. That's all I'm gonna say about that trip, all right? So once again, it's Vogue 1799. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Vogue 1802. I can't remember which sewist I seen with this pattern. You know what? I'm just going to put their handle up on the screen and save me some time of butchering someone's handles, okay? I don't want those problems, y'all. No, 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 no. Like Destiny Child, I be saying no, 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 okay? Anyway, once again, this pattern is a Vogue 1802. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. All right, so the next pattern, once again, I'm going to thank my dear friend Yvonne for recommending this pattern. Let me tell you, this was part of, on July 1st, when Simplicity had like if you spend, I can't remember what the sale was. I think it was Simplicity. I think all brands except for Vogue was $3.99 or something like that. But if you spend $50 or more, you got free shipping, right? During the 4th of July sale. So Yvonne, she sent me her list like she normally does. If you guys don't know, yes, I do get patterns. I pick up patterns for 2 international ladies, Yvonne and Asia, different countries or whatever, and I send those to them in increments of time, you know. So we get pattern sales here in the United States, and if you find it in your heart and you're a viewer and you want to help someone who's not in the United States out, let me know. Put it in the comment section below. And if you are one of the individuals, international individuals that needs help with getting patterns, look in the comment section below to some of my other viewers who can help you out. If you want me to help you out, DM me on Instagram. Do not DM me here because I'm not going to comment, okay? I'm not going to comment on, you know, your comment about can I help you out, because I'm giving you the instructions of DMing me on how I do things on Instagram, all right? If you need me to help you out with some patterns, all right? That's just a side note. But this pattern is Vogue 9112. Thank you, Yvonne from Jamaica. Listen, you guys. So this was on hers. And at first when I looked at this pattern on Simplicity website, I was just like, okay, I could see something. And I did not purchase. I did not purchase because I was just like, not today. Not today. I could see it, but I could not see it at that time. It wasn't until her box came in from Simplicity and I was like, dang, why didn't I get this pattern? And it happens. It happens. Now, I do know that this pattern is not in my Joann. So I have to wait until Vogue is on sale on Simplicity website and get this pattern. Thank you, Miss Yvonne from Jamaica, because your girl is getting ready to get this pattern during the next sale. All right. Bottom line, because I could see some things, and I could see this for a vacation, y'all. Like, I'm not gonna say what vacation that's coming up next summer, but I could see it for that. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern is a super easy to sew pattern. If you didn't hear me, let me say it one more time. Super easy to sew pattern. Yes, get into this pattern. It's McCall 7404. Yes, super easy to sew pattern. I mean, you can add sleeves if you want. But because this has probably some binding that you have to put on, you guys already know what I said. If it recommends bias binding, you know what to do. Facing pieces to save you some coins on binding, coins on buttons. You got it. Now, I want to address one thing that someone said in my last video on part 2 of the elastic while I'm here. Zippers. If you do not want to add a zipper, what you can do is extend your pattern 5/8 of an inch wherever that zipper goes, front and back pattern piece. The side seam, or if it's in the back, extend the back pattern pieces by 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and then sew it, and you don't have to put in a zipper. That's a tip that you can do, and it'll still sew together very well without that zipper. That's a tip. If it's on the side, you would need to add 5/8 of an inch to the front and the back pattern pieces at the side seam. All right, I'll show you how to do it in a upcoming video when I'm actually moving a zipper or something like that. Now, I normally do not just 86 zippers when they're in a pattern, but I can show you how you can get that done. I'll just kind of like cut some scrap fabric just to show you. All right, but moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is McCall 7407. Easy flowy dress or top. I mean, And this is a Palmer Pletz. I think it's called Pletz. You get what I'm saying. A Palmer pattern, which is mainly like a tissue fitting type pattern as well. So you could definitely, you know, open up this pattern and fit to your body. I would definitely say to definitely trace the pattern out first and then try to fit to your body. All right. Because this one is like a tissue fitting method, I think is what it's called. But let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern, this one is McCall 7429. It is a sew along on YouTube already from Brittany J. Jones. She sewed this pattern a while ago. I want to say probably at least 4 to 5 years ago for sure. But it's a twist knot type dress. Love it. I have not done it, but I do have fabric for this pattern. All right, moving over to the next one. The next one is 7430. Once again, Brittany J. Jones have done this pattern on her channel. You gotta go there in order to see it. I will definitely put the links in the description box below, so you are able to go to both videos, McCall 7429 and McCall 7430, in order to see both of those videos. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is McCall 7532. It's an easy flowy dress. I mean, you can add pockets to it if you choose to. I mean, you could do a lot with this pattern, all right? But once again, it's McCall 7532. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next one, you could actually do a top or a dress. It's McCall 7538. This one is an easy knit dress or a top. You could color block it. You could do it in single colors, whatever you want to do. But once again, it's a no notion pattern, and it's McCall 7538. Moving over to the next one. So the next one, I'm not sure which sewist did this pattern, but I know I've seen this already, right? And this is McCall 7621. Listen, you could get you some easy velvet and make it do what it do and have no notions too. All right. Once again, it's McCall 7621. This is a no notions pattern. So you can literally sew all views on this, right? No notions. Okay. McCall 7621. Get into that pattern. Let's go ahead and move over to the next. Next pattern is McCall 7653. You guys, I could see this for a little sexy date night with your husband, your partners, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. You get what I'm saying, right? You could literally do this in all the views. Just pick different fabrics. No one would know but you, boo-boo. No one would know. But once again, this pattern is McCall 7653. Easy to sew, no notion pattern. Let's go ahead and get it over to the next pattern. Next one is McCall 7688. So listen to this one. Montoya Mail, she actually did this one. Now, I can't remember if she did a full sew along. Actually, let me tell you, she did kind of like a sew with me just to show you how she used Ankara fabric, because this is a knit pattern. She used Ankara fabric, lined it with some fleece, I believe. She showed you how to do the hood or whatever, which is view C on the pattern. So yeah, I'll put that link in the description box below. But once again, this pattern is McCall 7688. Let's go ahead and move over to the next one. So the next pattern is a favorite for both Simply Delilah from Simply Delilah and Natita from So Natural Dame. This pattern is McCall 7712, and I have mentioned this before. Listen, this pattern is so nice, so nice. It's on my list to sew. You guys, I know you guys are gonna say, Rochelle, could you do a sew along for this? I like to check and see if a sew along have already been done before I do a sew along. One thing I will say about sew alongs is if there's a sew along that have already been done, you could pretty much bet that I'm not gonna do one. And the reason why is simply because it's like already one there. It's just basically probably making one that's better. But one thing about it is because I talk to many ladies in the sewing community, I don't want to have that compete with anyone for sew along at all. So normally if there's a sew along that's already been done for the pattern and I actually talk to that individual, or you know, we're good with each other and everything, I'm not going to compete with them for sew along. Just not my vibe. I want to bring love to the sewing community. No hate whatsoever. All right. Moving over to the next pattern, it's Butterick 5030. Now, Butterick just released the pattern. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm normally good with patterns, but because it's still kind of new, and I think it just came out in summer of 2023, I'll put it up on the screen so you're able to see that Butterick pattern. But it's the same pattern basically. Butterick 5030 and the new Butterick pattern 67 something. Right, so I'm gonna put it up on the screen so you can see it, but it's an easy to sew pattern, no notions. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern, I love this pattern. I haven't done it yet, but it's Butterick 6349. All right, this is a quick and easy summer dress. All right, look up the hashtag. You will see what I'm talking about. But once again, it's Butterick 6349. Let's go ahead and get it over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Butterick 6350. You guys, let's talk about, this is summertime. You still have time to sew some more stuff for summer, okay? You could definitely sew this pattern, 6350, with no issues and no notions, all right? So let's go ahead and talk about it. 6350, easy to sew. I mean, you could do so many views. You could do the strap view. You could do the one with the cold shoulder. You could do the asymmetrical one. You could do the tier one. You could do all views on this pattern. And so one pattern and have 4 different garments. Okay. You're welcome. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the next pattern. So the next pattern is Butterick 6558. Haven't done this pattern yet, but I mean, like, it seems like to me, like your bottom fabric is whatever solid fabric you want. And then you have kind of like a printed sheer fabric right on top of it. I like it. I have it. I don't have the, well, take that back. I do have fabric for it. It's just, I haven't sewn it up yet. That's it. But let's get into this pattern and get over to the next pattern. The next pattern is Butterick 6554. I have fabric for this. Brittany J. Jones did a sew along for this pattern as well. I'm here for view B, for sure. I have the exact same fabric as Brittany J. Jones have in her tutorial. So I think it's about time for me to sew up this dress. All right. I might do view A to kind of make 2 things out of the fabric that I have, but we will see. All right. but this is Butterick 6554. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next one is Butterick 6621, and this is a missus dress with a tie front. It is a knit pattern. I have fabric for this pattern. I'm not sure if Brittany J. Jones did a sew along for it, but she did a pattern review probably for it. I know she's sewing this dress up. It's Butterick 6621. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next one is Butterick 6658. It is a nice, gorgeous dress, you guys. But this one could definitely be put into my coordinates section as well. So you can either do it for one or the other. It's completely up to you. But once again, it's Butterick 6658. All right. So let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. It's Butterick 6675. It is a nice wrap dress. I am here for it. You could make it in the missus size or the woman's size for sure. But once again, it's 6675. Moving over to the next pattern, it's Butterick 6677. You guys, I sewed this pattern up last year, I want to think. No, it was actually the year before. I actually made it in a Toy Story fabric. I will definitely link to that Toy Story fabric and the pattern review in the description box below. That video, I did make ties at the neck. So I think I will link to that portion so you are able to see how you make ties when you do not want to put a button in the back. I don't think I did a sew along for this. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but I believe Brittany J. Jones did a sew along for this, and I just showed you how I draft ties and put it in the back. I think that's what happened, but I did sew this dress together. All right, moving over to the last pattern in this category, the dresses. It's Butterick 6724. Listen, there's nothing to say about this pattern other than it's easy to sew, you in and out the door, and no notions. All right. Now that we talked about all the dresses in this pattern, in this category, all the dresses for this portion, which is total body, let's go ahead and move over into the upper body, which are your tops. So let's go ahead and get into the tops. So I'm going to start this one off with Simplicity because you guys be killing me with why you keep starting off with Butterick. Because Butterick starts with a B and Simplicity starts with an S, okay? And B is before S. I'm just joking. There's no reason why I do it. I just happen to kind of, just do it, not intentionally. But we going to start off with Simplicity, all right? So the first one, you guys. So it's just killing this pattern already. Simplicity 9784. I already put this in one of my videos, and it is the no notion patterns. Like, this is one that actually you have no notions, and I think it's view A where there's a button there, but you could definitely 86 that, which means omit, and sew ties at the back. Then you don't have to sew that button. But I am here for view B and view C, because then I don't have to actually make ties. B and C is what I'm going to do. That's 2 views off that pattern, and it's no notions, baby, other than thread, okay? Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Simplicity 9690. I have a complete sew along for both the top and the pants for this pattern. Now, the reason why this one is on the list, I know the pants elastic, right? But the top is not. I'm here for the top. It's put in the top section for a reason. You do not need any notions for the top. So view A, which is the view that I did, it does have kind of like a little cutout peekaboo shoulder. Love it. And I did this in a yellow B type fabric that I got from Joann's. I will go ahead and put the link to the video in the description box below, as well as on the end screen. So let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Simplicity 9679. This pattern was a sew your view a couple of months ago. I didn't get to make it, sorry, but I want to make this pattern, y'all. Like, this is a sexy freaking pattern, okay? I'm here for all the views, and you need no notions, okay? So that's 3 tops that you can do with no notion. View A has the cuff. View B is sleeveless, okay? But you can add some sleeves if you want. I'm just saying, you can make it a puff sleeve if you choose. And then view C, you have, you know, your sleeves there as well. Just regular sleeves, all right? But there's many things that you could do with this pattern. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Simplicity 9645, easy knit top. Listen, no notions, okay? Now this is a basic top. I could definitely see mini sewers making it up because it could be like an easy work style top for sure. But once again, it's 9645. Let's go ahead and move over to the next one. So the next pattern is Simplicity 9546. All right. So this pattern, I didn't get around to it last year during the springtime because that's when I wanted to sew this pattern when I did a jumpsuit. Didn't get around to it. I still have some fabric that I can use for this pattern, but once again, it's Simplicity 9546. Let's go ahead and move over to the next no notion pattern. Next one, easy to sew. Yes, ma'am. It's 9451. It's a knit pattern, and I'm here for it. Exactly what the model is wearing. View A on this pattern. I love, 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 love it, and I'm gonna make it. It's Simplicity 9451. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern, I have already mentioned this. I mentioned this in my last video where it was just elastic. And this pattern is Simplicity 9333. It's just no notions for this pattern. So instead of me going into it again, let's just go ahead and move over to the next pattern, shall we? So the next pattern is Simplicity 9549. So this is a bralette pattern. I did a sew along to view C on this pattern a while ago. I think it was during the top series. I will go ahead and put the link to that bralette that I did in the description box below. Now I will mention that I keep getting asked if I would do a sew along to a different view on that pattern. And to be honest with you, no, I will not do a complete sew along for any other views on that pattern because this pattern is no longer in Joann's. In order to get this pattern, you have to order it from Simplicity if you do not have it, number one. And then number two, every location, they're currently not, they're in summer, but their summer is not as long as my summer. So I would definitely have to sew this pattern during the spring to allow enough time for everyone to be able to do it. But with this pattern, to be honest with you, the reason why I did view C is because that's the view I could see myself doing. All the other views, I wouldn't wear it, to be honest. So that's why I did view C for this pattern, but I will not be doing a sew along for this pattern. Now I might do a sew with me where I'm showing you how to put a different view together, but not a complete 100% step-by-step sew along like I would do with a sew along. All right, but let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Simplicity 8376. Super basic, easy to sew pattern. I actually did this pattern. I don't think I did a pattern review for it, but I did this pattern back in 2020. It was like a black and white stripe fabric. I have worn that on a channel before, but I don't think I actually did a pattern review for it. But it's an easy to sew pattern, and this is a pattern hacking pattern as well. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically, it gives you ways that you can hack this pattern, all right, and get different looks. But once again, it's Simplicity 8376. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is Butterick 6418. I don't know why I haven't gotten to this pattern, but it's just a basic top. That's it. And you could color block it if you choose to as well. All right, so that's that. Next pattern. All right, let's move over to the next pattern. That pattern is Butterick 6418. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Butterick 6525. This can be either a dress or a top. It's completely up to you. You could jazz it up, jazz it down, make it casual. It's up to you, all right? But this is another no notion pattern, and once again, it's Butterick 6525. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Butterick 6494. Now listen to this one. This one is a knit type pattern. It's a dress or a top. And to be honest with you, how in the world is this one no notions? I have no idea. Well, I have an idea, but I don't know how they got this pattern to be a no notion pattern because it is super cute. I have the pattern and I just might make it, all right? But let's go ahead and get into the next pattern. So the next pattern is Vogue 9006. easy Vogue beginner friendly pattern for sure. I like that cowl neck. Like, I love that on this pattern. But once again, it's Vogue 9006. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Vogue 1825. Listen, this pattern has been on my wish list, and I forgot about the wish list on Simplicity until like 2 weeks ago, and I started putting stuff on my wish list, and I was just like, why I have this pattern on my Vogue wish list? Why not? It's a no notion pattern. Well, it's a cute pattern, and I just completely forgot about it, and I'm not sure if it's in my Joann's, but I will look this upcoming week for sure to see if it's in my Joann's. But yes, you want to get into this pattern. Vogue 1825. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern, I have done this pattern. It's McCall 7630. So when I sewed this pattern up, it didn't work out too well for me. It was actually too small. Now, this pattern is very similar to McCall's 7542, which is now McCall's 8161. So if you cannot find this pattern, you could definitely get McCall's 8161 and just basically hack it and make some ruffles, make an actual pocket at the chest. You know, you can do different things with this pattern. It's a basic kind of like a shell pattern. When I say a shell pattern, basically like your basic beginner shell pattern that you want to use to make other things. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is McCall 7390. Easy to sew pattern. Easy, easy, easy. I can't remember which sewist I seen with this pattern. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of which one. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to mention anyone right here. All right. But this is an easy to sew pattern. Let's go ahead and get over to the next one. So the next pattern, I did a sew along for this pattern. It's McCall 7359. This is like a bat wing top. I love this pattern. I actually wear it quite often, believe it or not. Like, I love this pattern. And it literally took me every bit of about 4 years from when I purchased this pattern to sew it up. So that's one thing I want to mention is we buy a lot of patterns. I know I do. And I don't have a lot of time to sew all of them that I buy in a season. But one thing that I want to do moving forward is sew quite a bit of them from that season in that season or by the next year. Okay, so that's one thing that I'm planning on doing moving forward, you know, with patterns that I pick up, either sew them in that season or the season right after. Now, I'm not sewing summer patterns in pre-fall, but I could definitely sew spring patterns in summer and pre-fall into winter patterns, okay? I'm not sewing the winter patterns going into spring. We're not doing those things. However, I can wait until the next year of winter to sew the winter pattern. So that's one thing that I want to do, because to be honest with myself and to be honest with you guys, I need to downsize these patterns, okay? That's one thing that I'm working on. Help your girl out, okay? Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is McCall 7357. It's an easy to sew pattern. I think I've seen a sew along for this pattern as well on YouTube. If so, it's in a description box below, but don't judge me if I do not put it in there, because I can't remember. All right, moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is McCall 7327. Listen, we cannot get any easier than this, okay? This is an easy to sew pattern, you guys. Get into this pattern, all right? It is McCall 7327. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern is McCall 7324. So with this pattern, it does have a kind of like a overlap at the front, kind of like an opening. But I don't see that to be a problem. I know some people's like, I have a problem with the placket. It's actually called like an open placket. But if you watch my video where I did kind of like a pleated placket skirt, it's like a button down pleated skirt. The pattern number is Simplicity 9744. You wouldn't have any problems. It's pretty much the same thing that I do in that video you could do for that placket. Also, if you do not want to watch that video, New Look 6704, it also show you how, you know, you have like that placket and the collar. You could also watch that video to get an idea of how to do this top if you're just looking at how to do that placket area. Those two videos will pretty much tell you how to do that. I will link both in the description box below and on the end screen to one of them, so you're able to check that on your way out. All right, but this pattern is McCall 7324. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is McCall 7323. It is an easy to sew pattern. I haven't gotten around to it, but it's super easy to sew, you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. Next pattern, I already mentioned this pattern, so I'm not going to go into full details with this pattern, but it's McCall 7284. I mentioned this in the last video, but I wanted to put it here just in case you missed that video or you missed that pattern. But it's McCall 7284. It is an easy to sew pattern. You just have a bow at the neck for sure. All right, moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is a pattern that I cut out but never made it. I mean, like, I cut the pattern out, but I never cut out the fabric because back then I was super duper into sewing with knits, but I put it down because I was going out of town and never picked it back up. So because it was like 4 or 5 months later, I just threw, I don't know what I did with the fabric. But I definitely threw that one out and picked up a fresh new copy a while ago. All right. But this is McCall 7247 for that pattern. Love the pattern. Just haven't completely sewed it up yet. All right. So, but let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is a New Look 6543. Listen, this pattern is an easy to sew pattern, but this, listen to this when I say this. This is a hackable pattern. If you're into pattern hacking, get this pattern and let's hack together, because I will show you how you can hack this pattern. Now listen, I have hacked McCall's 8161 so many times. I know you guys tired of seeing that pattern. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a complete sew wet series with that pattern in it, and I hacked that pattern into a top. I added sleeves onto it. I added a bow in the back. I turned that pattern into a lightweight jacket. I used that pattern and turned it into a peplum. I know you guys tired of seeing that pattern, but I'm going to tell you, it's a TNT pattern for me. McCall's 8161 is what I'm referring to, which is also McCall 7542. Now, this pattern right here, you can do essentially the same thing. Make a peplum, turn the pattern into a lightweight jacket, add some sleeves onto this pattern, enlarge the sleeve and make a puff sleeve. This is literally a basic pattern that I'm going to call, this pattern should be a guide pattern for you to hack into other things. All right. And if you got the Mimi G sewing book, you know, yeah, right here, this book right here, let me show you. Okay. If you have this book, she shows you how to hack. I'm just going to show you that the patterns is already in here. If you don't want to use those patterns, you can use your own patterns and literally hack whatever you want, right? She has 100 inspirational looks that you can hack. Okay, so just get you a basic tee, use this book, and hack away, all right? Because that's what Rochelle's going to do. Yes, I just said my name in third person. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Moving over to next pattern. Next pattern is New Look 6642. Now this pattern should probably be put into my coordinate section, but I'm not. And the reason why I'm not is because the pants, you need a zipper. We're not here for these zippers. We're here for no notions. And in order to get that, you need to just sew that top. All right. But this pattern is New Look 6662. Moving over to next one. Next pattern, I mentioned this before and I'll mention it again. It's New Look 6759. It's just basically a hoodie or a sweater pattern. No notions. All right, let's move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern, I mentioned this one before as well. New Look 6732. I like this pattern, and Can't wait for spring. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't wait for spring to come to where I could literally sew a lot of these patterns that I'm telling you. No notions and elastics on Mamacita's list, okay? Let's move over to the next pattern. So the last pattern in this section for the upper body or the top is New Look 6757. You might say, well, Rochelle, this is more like a coordinate pattern. Yes and no. It's a coordinate, yes, but the pants, you need a zipper. We're not here for those zippers. So in order to make this a no notion pattern, it's all about that top, all right? View a basic pattern. And this would be a good one that I could show you guys how you could, one, hack the pattern, also add facing, both armhole facing and front and back facing at the neck area, neck facing, right? Also for this pattern, I don't think it has a button in the back for this pattern at all. No, it doesn't have any buttons in the back. So I can show you how to draft the ties and all that stuff, but I will show you that on a pattern where I could just use one pattern and show you guys how to do it all. That means the front facing, back facing, armhole facing, and the ties in the back all in one video. It is coming. Thank me when I make that video. All right. Now that that's all of the patterns in the tops, let's go ahead and transition over to the lower body, which are your skirts, your pants, and your shorts. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the first pattern for this one. It's Vogue 1872. Listen, I picked this pattern up during the last, no, not the last Vogue sale, but I think it's like 2 or 3 Vogue sales ago, like 2 months ago. And I didn't know that this pattern was a no notion pattern. I thought that this pattern required a zipper. Now, you guys know, like, I don't necessarily sew Vogue patterns, but we're going to change that for sure. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the next no notion pattern. So the next pattern is Simplicity 1616. It's an easy to sew pattern for sure. It's basically kind of like a pull up skirt. You could pull it up. And if you make this skirt long enough, you could go from a skirt that's like a long maxi skirt to a dress where you pull up and have the skirt right here at your tata areas, your bust area, and you just have like a flowy skirt. Now it may be a little short, but only you know what length you need. So just be mindful of that. All right. Moving over to the next one. Next pattern is New Look 6456. It's an easy to sew wrap dress. I have not made this dress yet, but we're going to change that and sew this one up pretty soon as well by spring. I'm just saying, right? But once again, it's New Look 6456. Moving over to the next pattern. The next pattern is McCall 7932. Listen, you guys, I sewed this pattern and I made it in like a cheetah print. I did a pattern review for it. I love this pattern. Now, I will say it does require a lot of fabric for this pattern for sure, but I have worn this dress, not dress, but skirt like 4 times since making it. So it's an easy summer versatile dress. I mean, not dress, skirt. It's an easy summer versatile skirt. All right. So get into this pattern, get this pattern, wait for it to go on sale on Simplicity and grab this pattern. You're welcome. Once again, it's McCall 7932. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. The next pattern, Brittany J. Jones did I think it's either a sew in 30 or a sew along for this pattern. It's McCall 7813. It's just basically an asymmetrical wrap skirt. That's it. I mean, you could go to that sew along or that sew in 30 where she show you how to do it as well. But once again, it's McCall 7813. Moving over to the next pattern. And the last pattern in the lower body, which features the skirts, the pants, and the shorts. Well, if you notice, there's no pants and no shorts because most of those either have a zipper or some form of elastic. But most of the time when you make a wrap skirt, guess what? There's no elastic. There's no notions for the most part, unless it's a button. You could get away with no buttons too, by the way. But this last pattern is McCall 7606 in this section. Now this one you could pretty much say it's a coordinate pattern because you have your swimsuit and you have your skirt. But I'm here for the skirt because with the swimsuit you will definitely need elastic, and we all about the no notion. So for this one it's all about the skirt, which is a wrap skirt. but it's McCall 7606. All right, so that's it for this section. Let's go ahead and move over into the next section. So the next section for this video is the Dirty 30. And the Dirty 30 features your jacket, coat, and jumpsuit. Now in this section, it's only 5 patterns that I am going to hit you with. So let's go ahead and get into the first pattern. The first pattern is Butterick 6717. It is a jacket or a storm coat type pattern. I like this pattern. I have plans to make this pattern, hopefully fall time or into the winter time. All right. But this is a no notion pattern and it's Butterick 6717. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is McCall 7254. It is like a cardigan style pattern where you can use a button, but if you sew one of the views without a button, guess what? It's a no notion pattern. So let's talk about the views that has no notions. All right. So view A and view E has no notions on this pattern. All right. So make sure when you're looking at these things, we're looking for no notions. All right. So if it has a notion, you can omit it by doing something else. All right, so that's the plan that I have for these no notions patterns. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. The next pattern is McCall 7846. This is like a poncho, right? Most ponchos you just throw over your body so you can stay warm, okay? But once again, this pattern is McCall 7846. It's just your normal poncho, which you need no notion. All right, let's go ahead and get over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is a nice coat. It's McCall 7878. Haven't gotten around to this pattern. I have this pattern. I just haven't gotten around to it because where I live, like I mentioned before, coats is not like a big thing that you would need here in Orlando because it's hot. When I say hot, it's hot. Now, I'm not saying like it's desert hot. And when I say desert, I'm not talking about Arizona. Arizona is hot, 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 hot on a thing. Okay. But I'm talking more like Southwest Asia hot, where it's 120 degrees in the shade, okay? Y'all, it's hot as hell over there, all right? If you know, you know, all right? Moving over to the next pattern. The last pattern in this section, which is the Dirty 30, which features your jackets, your coats, and your jumpsuit, which if you notice, I didn't put any jumpsuits in here because why? You will need some form of elastic. And this is a no notion pattern, you know, so I didn't put no jumpsuits in here. But the last pattern is Vogue 9338. It is an easy to sew jacket. And when I say easy to sew, it's listed under the Vogue Easy option. So easy to sew, all right? Now, those are all the patterns in the Dirty 30, your jackets, coats, and your jumpsuit. Let's go ahead and move over to the last portion of the video before I close this out, and it's your conditioning coordinate section. So the conditioning coordinate section is basically to make sure all of your items blend together, all right? So for this section, I came up with about 8 patterns. Now, let's go ahead and get into the first pattern. So the first one is Butterick 6495. It's an old pattern, but I felt like this pattern is a good business, you know, style pattern, but also a casual style pattern. You could dress this pattern up and down. What I mean by that is if you have some solid black pumps for business and for work and whatever else you want to do after that, day to night, you could also just do like a pair of flat or tennis shoes to do a dress down casual look. So I feel like this lifestyle wardrobe Butterick pattern fits the bill. But once again, it's Butterick 6495. Let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So the next pattern, I mentioned this not too long ago. It's Butterick 6948, which is the new Butterick Summer 2023 pattern. You guys, if you guys haven't noticed by now, I like this pattern. I love this pattern. Can't wait to make it. When will I make it? I don't know. I don't know. But when I do, I will let you know. But once again, it's Butterick 6948. Moving over to the next pattern. The next coordinate pattern is McCall 7261, which this pattern was a Sew Your View I want to say a year or two ago. I think it was last year. It was the Sew Your View. I didn't make it thin because I did not have like the activewear fabric for it, but then I purchased it and then just still haven't made it. But once again, it's McCall 7261. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is also a Sew Your View pattern as well. It's McCall 7873. No notions whatsoever, but you will need some knits in order to do this pattern. Listen, y'all. Get into this pattern. Just do it like Nike, all right? But this pattern is McCall 7873. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern, I already mentioned this one before, so I'm not going to give a whole bunch of details into this one, but it's New Look 6461. I'm putting it here as well because, like I said, this is no notions. I don't need to say it again. It's no notions. 6461. New Look, all right? So let's go ahead and move over to the next pattern. So you guys, I mentioned this one as well before. It's New Look 6677. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this pattern is because you need no notions for the top. You will need notions for the pants, but it's just some elastic. Yeah, okay. Now, if you were to kind of like did a waistband, can you get away with no elastic? Yes, you can, but you need to make sure that that waist and those hips fit with no elastic, okay? Would I do it? No, but you can definitely do it. Me personally, I would prefer elastic or a zipper instead of just no notion at the waist. Just saying. All right. But this is New Look 6677. Moving over to the next pattern. Next pattern is Simplicity 9018. Listen, y'all, I am here for the top and the dress. No notions whatsoever. But the way that they have this style, you could basically do a lot of things with those two pieces. The top, I'm sorry, those three pieces, the top, the dress, and kind of like a poncho or overcoat, right? You could do a lot with just those three pieces and pair them with so many different things. Look outside of the front of that pattern, y'all, please, and thank you, okay? Let's go ahead and move over to, that pattern is Simplicity 9018. Moving over to the next pattern. So the next pattern is a Mrs. and a Woman's pattern. It's Simplicity 9716 and 9717. You guys, it's on my list to sew. Maybe by the winter time for sure. But you guys, I love this pattern. Like, I just haven't sewn it. We'll fix that one day. But it's Simplicity 9716 and 9717. Moving over to the next pattern. So the last pattern, and before I close out this video, I have mentioned this pattern before. It's Vogue 1929. Sew Your View did this pattern as one of the Sew Your Views for the month. Don't remember which month it was, but listen, I'm here for it. I'm going to sew this pattern, y'all. All right. But that's it for this video. Those are all 85 patterns that I just showed you of patterns that's no notion. So for my beginner, come to the front of the classroom and let me tell you something. If you are a true beginner and you're trying to get back into sewing, this video is for you. I made sure to pick very easy, beginner-friendly patterns that you can do and not be scared of just the pattern brand. These are patterns with no notions for a reason, and I did that just for you, my beginner-friendly. I'm also talking to my intermediate and my advanced that you just want to do a quick pattern in and out the dough. Okay, you good to go. It's for everyone, but this video is strictly for my beginners, simply because you guys always DM me or hit me up in the chat and be like, Rochelle, listen, I'm a beginner and I want to learn construction. Can you help me? Yes, this is a way for you to learn construction. Also, take away all of the noise of having to do elastic and different type of notions. This video was put together for you to learn how to do these things with no notion. Just focus on how to look at the instruction and sew 5/8 of an inch seam allowance for the front and the back and the sleeve. Pretty much is what you'll be doing in most cases, right? When it comes to the lower body, you're focusing on basically, you know, attaching, making darts, attaching the front to the back and making a wrap skirt in most of the patterns that I showed you, all right? So don't be scared, push your limit. But guess what? It's no notions while you're doing it. All right. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And since you made it this far, do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and also smash that notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. So I'll catch you in the next video. And as always, keep sewing.
Where's Da Vinci?
They're picking sides, they're crossing the line.